I had just moved to Oakland from another major city a couple of weeks prior, and was very naive about encounters with strangers at the time. I returned from my first job interview with a cycle courier company in San Francisco, and sure that I had the job, I decided to roll and smoke a blunt. Shortly after finishing the blunt to end all blunts, a huge stranger turned a quick corner off to the side street and walked past me. I heard his Nike screech to a halt and turned. When I looked back, his friendly, handsome face was smiling at me with bright white teeth. He asked if I had another cigarette. "Yeah, I've got another one. Let me roll you one," I said, smiling back at him. He was very grateful and held a respectful distance as I rolled him a shitty burglar cigarette. After I gave him the square, I told him I was on my way home and had a 15-minute walk before I got there, excusing myself. He offered to come with me to make sure I stayed safe, and I accepted, glad for the company. It wasn't long before he strayed the conversation into sexual waters. "Are you a virgin?" "Nah, I fucked, haha." "Are you single right now?" "Yeah, I'm single." "Are you into guys at all?" Yeah, sometimes." He got really excited when he found out I was bi and started giving me detailed accounts of sex he used to have when he was my age. I got pretty uncomfortable at this point and was visibly shaken, but he seemed encouraged and gleeful about my awkwardness. And he pressed further. "Do you think I'm sexy? You're really cute, but kind of stoned and just trying to get home. Want to come by my place instead?" "Hey, I think I just need to get home and get to sleep in my own bed." At this point, he procured a bag of white powder from his pocket and asked if I liked ecstasy. I told him I wasn't interested and I really appreciate it, but he kept pushing in this several times. Then he told me, "Hey, my aunt's place is coming up and she don't trust strangers. I'm gonna run inside and then be right out. Take your shoes off and pretend your ankle is hurting, so I have an excuse for my auntie. I'll just tell her you hurt your foot and I'm trying to help you out." The way he carried himself told me he had years of experience and many pounds of muscles over me. I submitted, taking my shoes off on the sidewalk, still stoned as hell and knowing I was about to lose my phone, wallet, and shoes, only a couple blocks from my new home. He went up to the door and pretended to knock, going down the steps, grabbing my shoes and telling me forcefully to walk across the street and sit in a closed-off alleyway across the street. At this point, I asked him, "Are you gonna rob me? Just take my shit now. I don't have any money and my phone is worth nothing." But he cut me off and enveloped me in a big hug, grabbing my ass, holding me, and telling me, "No, dude, I like you. I'm not trying to rob you." When we got to the alley, he asked me to sit down on a log, and I did. I was scared of him and stoned out of my mind with my low-ass tolerance to weed. I felt completely powerless to this huge, street-smart man. I also noticed a gun-shaped bulge in his left hoodie pocket, which he was eager to touch when he was in a lull of conversation. When we got across the street, he almost instantly shoved his hand into his pants and began to stroke his dick, his head rolling back on his neck, and his eyes almost closed except for watchful pupils keeping an eye on me. A few seconds into this, he yelled at me, "Hey, take those socks off." Shaking visibly, I pulled off my socks. Softly, he said to me, "Now wiggle your toes. Let me see some action." I obliged for about 10 minutes, and I asked him at one point if he was going to kill me, and he blew me a kiss with his left hand while still stroking his dick. "No, I would never hurt you, baby. I got you now and forever." Finally he came in his underwear. This smile transfixed on his face. He pulled his cum hand out of his pants and begged me not to tell anyone, as he already had a felony for indecent exposure in front of a minor. I told him I wouldn't. He asked for my number, and he told me he was going to call it right away. I gave him my real one, and he called. He told me he'd see me real soon, and smiled, embracing me tightly, and then he walked away after I put my shoes on. And I ran. I blocked him as soon as I got home, but not before 7 texts asking if I had any pictures of my feet for him, all phrased differently. I haven't heard from him since, but God, let's not meet again. So about a year ago, my cousin's younger sister got admitted to this particular hospital for some medical reasons. I can't remember why exactly, but she was there for quite some time. So in the middle of the night, while my cousin was babysitting his sister, trusted family members are allowed to be in the room overnight to watch over patients. He was sitting on the chair beside the bed, half asleep, when a nurse comes in to check, injecting the IV and such. Nothing out of the ordinary, he thought, but while he was half awake, looking at the ground, he was surprised to see the nurse was barefoot, and he silently judged her for this on how unhygienic it was, but he kept his thoughts to himself. He immediately fell asleep, thinking nothing of the situation. A couple of weeks later, when his sister had finally been discharged, he was chatting to an old schoolmate of his who was also a nurse at the hospital, and casually slipped into a conversation about how weird it was to see a nurse doing that. She stares at him in shock because apparently, according to people who have worked there have been multiple incidents of this happening over the years, but no one at the hospital does that at all. A few staff members have also encountered this nurse at night, but no one recognizes her until after. So yeah, creepy stuff. Although it could be logically explained in a number of ways, it's still a bit weird to think that she possibly snuck into the hospital to do God knows what for whatever reason. There was this angry guy at a cooking course that had big anger issues. Nobody liked working with him, but one time we were making a share banquet. It's where we all cook a different meal or dessert, and then at the end of the night we try the different foods and we give our opinions on what is good and what could be changed. Anywho, angry guy didn't want to share his blueberry muffins or try anyone else's food, saying that we could have spat in them or something. So nobody tried his muffins. Bad karma. Before he put it on the table, he had a 10-minute argument with a teacher. Anywho, we all finished our certificate and didn't think anything about him until roughly 2 or 3 years ago. My course friend sent a Facebook message to me asking if I had seen the news about the angry dude. Apparently, he got so angry at one point he strangled his girlfriend and her 2 little kids. Terrible he had issues, but what an absolute cunt to think to give himself permission to take 3 lives. Hope he rots, but he won't. Angry guy, let's not meet. For context, I'll give a little bit of a backstory. I'm a small female, about 5'2" and 150 pounds, but I'm kind of muscular, and I'm 25. I'm from a very small town in Arkansas, and I also suffer from PTSD from severe sexual abuse from when I was a child. I don't enjoy people touching me. I was in Mobile, Alabama for a car show with my dad. We planned the trip last minute and unfortunately booked a room in a kind of crappy motel. It's right by the interstate. A man walks up to me and begins to hold a conversation. Begins to creepily comment on my physical appearance, talking about my thighs and my calves. He reaches down, grabs my calf, and squeezes my leg. He continues to talk to me besides my obvious discomfort. I try to end the conversation, but he pulls a fast one and offers a handshake. Being raised the way I was, I couldn't turn down the handshake. It's just a southern code of conduct to be polite, even if you don't want to be. Dude kisses my cheek. He says something and I couldn't catch it, but he kisses my cheek again. Being in a big city, this is terrifying because you don't know who will hurt you. Anyway, creepy cheek kisser, let's not meet again. I was with some friends at a bar. This specific location was a bar that in the evening at a certain hour would turn into a nightclub. Everyone is asked to either pay the entrance fee or leave. We were dancing and I noticed a few guys getting close to our group and watching us. During a song, one guy even got into the middle of our group and began to dance with one of the girls, but she put her arm around another guy from our group. A little while later, the same guy came and grabbed me from behind while I was dancing, and I just turned around and politely told him, "No, sorry, I got a boyfriend." while shaking my head and my hands to motion no. To be sure, the message got across, but when I tried to get away from him, he grabbed my hands and tried to pull me. As soon as one of my friends noticed this whole scene, he grabbed the guy and asked him what his deal was. Then everything happened very fast. One of the creep's friends jumped in as well, and they were talking. They eventually left, and I asked my friend what they were saying as the music was too loud for me to hear. These fuckers just tried to convince my friend that they knew me and everything was okay if I went with them. I honestly don't know how they thought this would work. I had a few drinks, but nowhere near enough to make me drunk. So, creepy guys at the nightclub, let's not meet again. Good evening, everyone. I just wanted to take a quick second to say thank you for watching the video, and if you liked it, I would really appreciate it if you'd subscribe and go ahead and hit the little bell notification. Also, don't forget to leave a comment on what was your favorite scary story tonight. Also, if you like daily updates and just some funny pictures and jokes, my Twitter is definitely something you should follow, because I update that pretty much daily, if not interact with people there as well. Also, if you're so inclined to, you may join the Discord. I will have a link posted down below where you can join in and just have a nice casual conversation with all of us. Anyway, thanks again, and I know my schedule's been a little inconsistent, but hey, that's life. It can get to you sometimes. Anyway, I hope you all have a good night.